contrary to what the school boards would have people believe, that these are just a few people, and we're going to shut them down. It is most people who share these kinds of concerns, especially when they're presented with evidence. Uh, what was your kind of, I don't want to call it a psychological journey, but what was it like when you went from, kind of being a private person to publicly speaking? What were some of the questions you asked yourself? I'm curious about how you made that transition.
Yeah, so actually, for me, it wasn't that difficult. I mean, the first question in the delegation that went viral, my question really was who's interested in knowing my daughter's sexuality? Because they were surveying my kids, they were surveying all the kids, but I got concerned like, why are they fixated on their sexuality? Why is the school board fixated on chatting and discussing their preferred sexual behaviors, their kids? And their surveys, they put out one part of information, but then it was completely different. What they would do, for example, on the survey it would say like grade 4 and up, and then on the actual survey itself it was age 4 and up. And age
Good
4 and
Lord.
up and sexuality, I mean, yeah, like it's just pure degeneracy. So for me, when I started speaking over there, like I'm a dad, and like I'm the authority over there. I want to know what's going on and who's interested in my daughter's sexuality. And I think a lot of people, when they heard me speak, they were probably thinking, yeah, who is interested in the sexuality of minors? That's a really good question, because the school board is very interested and members of the school board are extremely interested. And that's just the way I think. I go there, I'm the authority, I'm there to hold these people accountable, and they got to be held accountable for the decisions that they make. And the reception has been from parents, it's been nonstop winning. And I wish I could tell you like a story of somebody coming up and doing something or whatever, but it's not. It's only been a positive experience. And, even when I show up at the school board, you look at these people, they don't even make eye contact when you're speaking. They all look down. It's
Yeah.
shameful. It's embarrassing. If I was in their position, I'd be hiding under a rock. And I know a lot of these people, they have families and they have religious backgrounds, and they can't possibly believe what they're saying, but they're spineless and they're cowards, and they won't look you in the eye, and they put their head
Hmm.
down and then they just repeat the same line because they can't think for themselves, and they just
Yeah.
push nonsense. I mean, can you imagine being one of these leaders that's pushing this stuff and then going home to your family and explaining, let's say to your wife, it's like, well, I just voted to keep explicit content in the libraries, and the wife is like, what? Are you kidding me? Like this stuff is inappropriate. Like I'm sure these people they are aware of the books that are there. These books are not empowering. These books are not therapy books. It's just pure degeneracy. And if I was in their position, I'd be ashamed. I would resign, to be honest. I would not want to be part of this. And they I think the most respectful thing is for them to resign. But I think because they've been doubling down on these books as well, and doubling down, like our school board this Monday, they just voted against parental rights. So a couple weeks ago, they voted to keep explicit content available to minors age 4 and plus, and now they voted against parental rights. When I see them behave this way, these people ought to be dragged out and they ought to be jailed for the kind of things that they're exposing the kids to. They're abusing the minds of kids. They're putting the kids
Yeah.
down a path of social transition. I mean, the psychological part of it is like, if this doesn't light a fire under my ass or under anybody's ass, I don't know what will. This is not a debate. It's not a debate with these people. I'm not trying to like, this is not sympathy. This is straight up abuse and manipulation. And the kids are kids and they don't have the power to speak. And we as adults and as fathers and as mothers, we need to stand up for the kids. It's not a debate. The parent is the authority. You go in there and you got to tell them what to do. You got to expose them. And then I listen very carefully when they speak. And then I just repost them. It's like, look at these guys. And they cannot stop embarrassing themselves. I really believe they like to be humiliated, and they believe they want to be a victim. So I'll give them something to be victimized about. I will humiliate them with their own words. It's unacceptable. And they say things like, oh, so hateful and not tolerant. And it's like, what do they expect? Do they expect a pat on the back for this stuff? I can't tolerate this kind of behavior around minors. I hate that kind of behavior. You don't abuse kids and expect a pat on the back and say like, oh, look how tolerant you are. What kind of inclusivity are we talking about here? Who are we including when we're talking about having sexual discussions about preferred sexual behaviors with minors? What kind of inclusivity is this? And I really believe these people, they need to be locked up for doing what they're doing. And I'm in disbelief that this did not happen, and we live in an age where kids are essentially being told and encouraged with sexual behaviors and discussions, and they have written policies and procedures saying don't talk to the parents. It's crazy.